I'm trying to think of my most scintillating Denver Nuggets take right now. And I'm going to say this. Michael Porter Jr. probably won't, but should end up on the most improved player ballot.
Oh,
The first game I know you watched, the shot was not like, it just wasn't there for him. Do you know what he did? He fucking killed it anyway, because he wasn't playing outside of the offense. He was fighting on the glass. His defense for the most part was overreaction, immaculate. And yes, there was a moment where I thought it was by design because Austin Reeves got by him so easily, but Jokic had an early foul already, and it was just, well, what is kind of doing there? There were some breakdowns. This dude is defending. Like, the amount of time he was spending, like, kind of switched down the perimeter to Austin Reeves, and like Austin Reeves is not getting by him. The efforts we've kind of seen from him as a helper, or just the floor awareness, to where even if you're not seeing him kind of rotate over as the low man a bunch because the Lakers aren't getting to the basket enough outside of like those LeBron James layup lines at points, like, he was super duper impactful, I think, in a very good way, despite not having one of his better offensive games. And this is someone where I'm not trying to single out, like, look at DeAndre Ayton, look at Jordan Poole. There's been a bunch of questions about their roles and how they're earlier in their careers. They were playing for contenders at one point. Spoiler alert, they're not anymore. Could they put aside what their individual aspirations were to fit into the larger context? And I think it became clear, no. And the assumption was, no, they'll be fine. They got paid. It'll be okay. You know what? Michael Porter Jr. got paid. He went out and won a title, and he is doing what they have not. Like, in other players, it's not just, I don't mean to single out them, but those are two of the more recent examples. This is someone who's just fitting into the larger context of the best team in the NBA, perhaps really them and the Celtics. And that would be the overreaction. There are only two great teams in the NBA, and it's the Nuggets are one. They're not two, and it'd be Boston because they're terrifying, but we'll get to the East at some point. So his offense, he'll never get on this team, this iteration of the Nuggets. He will never have the agency necessary to make look at everything that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander did. I don't think MPJ has that vision, but his role is not going to materially change a bunch. They're never going to have him just run bench units on his own even. But because of how far he has come as a defender, and just as someone who understands his role, finds ways to contribute within it, even when his shot isn't falling. And that Calvin Booth said that he was one of the best shooters in the league, and that part of the reason that they got rid of Bones Highland is because of just the offense first, I'll put it kindly, overlap of Bones and MPJ. MPJ's not that guy anymore, and he wasn't for much of last season. He certainly wasn't in the playoffs, and so maybe this isn't an incendiary take. That's why I'm framing it in the sense of, getting on the top 10 of the most improved player ballot is hard. If we go and look at who finished top 10 just last year alone. And there was another player I was going to talk about with regards to this. So I do have them sort of pulled up here, but like, it was Larry Markkinen wins. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I believe, was 2. And then you had Jalen Brunson at 3, Mikal at 4, Nick Claxton at 5, Tyrese at 6, Trey Murphy at 7, De'Aaron Fox and Kevon Looney were tied at 8th. Shout out Kevon Looney. And then Austin Reeves at 10. Like, that's not an easy list. Getting one third place vote in this is hard. You know what? I'm going to say it. He will get votes for most improved player. He will finish in the top 10. And it's not, it won't have anything to do with just what he's doing on offense, most likely.
I like that take a lot. I think it's interesting that Denver sort of has a weird, like, perfect storm brewing developmentally, because I think you're right. If MPJ is someone that does not need to go, 7 of 12 from the field and like 4 of 6 from 3 to impact the game, that's massive, because he's doing all the other stuff that he really didn't do early in his career. And there have always been concerns that he just won't do that stuff. So if he can play that way, and then on the other side, you have Peyton Watson and Christian Braun that do all the stuff that Denver wants MPJ to do. They just need to be able to make shots. If two of the three say, do develop the skill or the mindset, I guess, in MPJ's case, that you need to impact a game when your best stuff like isn't working, or it's not a perfect analogy, because in theory, Watson and Braun their defense should be consistent and their effort should be consistent. But like, if you get a couple of those three, developing their weaker skills, then it's like, no one's gonna. I mean, sorry, but like no one's gonna miss Bruce Brown and Jeff Green. Like we spent a lot of time over the summer
Calvin
thinking,
Booth. Let's
yeah, sorry, Calvin Booth. I just had a conversation with him, and he told me that I should mention that we don't. Peyton Watson's going to be an All NBA player. No, I think that's a good point. And my Nuggets thought is that it's even less, overreacty than that. Is just I think Jamal Murray's never been an All-Star. Jamal Murray did not get a single All NBA vote last year. Like I think he's going to be an All NBA player this year, and that's just the trajectory. While interrupted by the injury, the ACL injury, is just like it's so clear to me that he's perfectly set up to just have a monster year. Like Jokic, I don't know how Jokic can be like ineffective. It's kind of not possible, but he might just chill and like facilitate a little more. The playoff numbers for Murray are always just absurd. And if he can just be like close to that level during the year, then he's an All NBA player, basically. Just he doesn't have to do anything else. And being a couple years removed from the injury now, it just feels like he's been like kind of close. And I always thought of him, Devin Booker, and Donovan Mitchell like developmentally as kind of linked. And then Booker to a great extent left that crew behind. And then Mitchell last year, kind of almost got there. And Murray was just kind of not in their dust, but not on that level. I think at the end of this year, I think we probably look at Murray as, at least from a national perspective, as like right there with Mitchell and maybe better and more complete because of his playoff resume. Yeah. And certainly he won't be like, we won't think of him as someone that just, got surpassed by those two other guys if you thought of them as like a package deal at one point when they were younger.
Yeah, I would agree with most of that, aside from Nikola Jokic chilling. He just casually dropped the triple-double.
That's the thing. He doesn't, there's no, like, he can't have a bad game, basically.
My first thought was the reason that they gave Reggie Jackson another contract is because they knew Nikola Jokic was going to get him paid anyway, and that he was going to decline his player option and have to sign a bigger deal next year. So, yeah, I saw some weird Jamal Murray discourse that, if he didn't have Jokic, his game, I can't even remember what the comp was. It was like, I don't know if it was like Jordan Poole, basically. It's just not true. And you want to see some of the non-Jokic minutes stabilize, and we saw points of that. Like Denver's bench during the first, like Calvin Booth definitely, I know it's a family podcast, but he definitely took some tissues and a bottle of lotion during like part of that first quarter during those bench units.
Is this a family podcast?
I was asked to curse less, which is the genesis of thermonuclear AF. So,
okay. Well, maybe it is.
But yeah, it's a family pod. That was family friendly. His hands were dry, which I guess would be not family friendly. Anyway,